Welcome to FINAC Tutorials with Son of this one. This is a video for the guys who are doing first level accounting. That also includes the guys who are also doing 1601 and 1602. I'm here to discuss the fundamental principles of accounting that should be embedded into your mind, because these are the principles that you are going to carry with anywhere that you go. Well, that is obviously if you are planning to go further with accounting. The first principle that I need to discuss is called double entry. Double entry. The word double means two. This word means two. So it means everything that we have to do, we need to do it in duplicate, which is it has two sides, the other side and the other side. The reason why it's supposed to have two sides is because an accounting entry or a transaction is not a single entry. We don't only take money from the bank, because we take money from the bank for a purpose, isn't it? We don't only buy a motor vehicle. We buy a motor vehicle for a purpose, and we use something to buy a motor vehicle, isn't it? So it always, there should always be a reason for doing something. You can't just do something for the purpose of, like, okay, I love doing it, without any, particular reason, isn't it? Or without any, what can I say, any perhaps methodology or any plan on how you are going to do what you intend to do. For example, if you are planning to buy, for example, pizza, you need to have money. So that's what you'll be thinking of. Do I have money? Okay, am I going to order online, or am I going to actually do a restaurant visit so that I can have my pizza? So those are the things that you'll be thinking about. That's where the double entry emanates from. So our double entry is guided by these two things: DR, some say DT, or CR, or some say CT. Well, it is one and the same thing. DR or DT stands for debit. What does debit say? Okay, our accounting entries are guided by something that we call a T. This T is dividing a left side and a right side, isn't it? A left side is the debit side, a right side is the credit side. So there isn't any rocket science that people will try to define debit and credit in some weird ways. In accounting, proper accounting, debit is a side, the left side of the T account, and credit is a side, is the right side of your T account, isn't it? So what are we saying when you're saying we are debiting something? It means we are putting it on this side of our T account, and we are crediting means we are putting this side it on this side of our T account, isn't it? So for every debit side, there is a corresponding credit side. Why is it that there should be a corresponding credit side? So this obviously is broken down into what is the transaction or what does the transaction say, or what was the transaction, isn't it? Let's actually give us each other an example. Okay, so we spoke about maybe you're going to work on a daily basis, and then you have your own car. Obviously, what do you need? You need fuel. So you pull up at Shell Garage and bought fuel for 200. I'm assuming there that either you're a business or a sole proprietor, right? Yes, because with these modules we are dealing with businesses, not particularly individuals per se, but the principles, apply everywhere. So you bought like fuel for 200 rand. So from these words that I used, you need to try to figure out um, main accounts or um, elements of accounts that are affected, or that are touched by these words in the sense that, for example, fuel, you know that fuel is an expense. So you think about, the expense line is affected because obviously my fuel is going to increase. All right? You bought this fuel of, let's say you bought it cash. So there is something that you are using there. It's money. It's money. So you're using your bank account to buy fuel. So money is an asset. Your bank account is your asset, isn't it? So we do have two things that are basically derived from what? From this simple statement that we bought fuel for 200 rand. So you think, there is an expense there. What else? There is an asset there, isn't it? Are we together? So that's the first thing that you need to do. You need to be able to identify where the elements of accounts are affected, or which element of account is affected, isn't it? What are the elements of accounts that we're talking about? Okay, let's discuss elements of accounts. It's actually double C. Pardon me a bit. Okay, elements of accounts. What are these elements of accounts? Isn't it? We are talking of assets. We are talking of liabilities. We are talking of equity. It's equity. We are talking of income. And then we are talking of expenses. Isn't it? So these are the 5 elements that you always need to think about, isn't it? So without really delving deeper into to these elements, perhaps we can basically discuss what an asset is. Your motor vehicle is an asset because it's something that you own. You control it. It's yours, isn't it? And it's going to be with you. Obviously, when you don't have an intention to sell it, it's going to be with you for a very long time, 10 years, 5 years, depending, isn't it? So that's an asset. Think of your bank account or money in your bank. That's your asset. You own it, you control it, it's yours, isn't it? So that's basically what you need to put as a mind frame, in a sense that when you're thinking of what an asset is. You have to, conceptualize and say, okay, does I own this thing? Is it mine? You know, yes, it's yours. Do you control it? Yes, you control it. So that's your asset, isn't it? Liabilities. A liability, if someone says you are a liability, please cry. You basically need to cry because, well, you do add value in the sense that you added value prior to before you became a liability. But now you don't add value anymore. You see, people are like, okay, ish, this person. Oh, okay. So liability are obligations to pay. You have a liability when at a certain stage you need to pay it, isn't it? So you have done something or borrowed money from the bank and you have an obligation